Hello and welcome to the Ntroversial Cinema Podcast. I'm Liz.
I'm Cosette.
And today we're going to talk about a Serbian film. This is one of those movies that's on the iceberg of disturbing cinema. It definitely lives up to it.
I would say, and a lot of people, which of course everyone's iceberg is different, right? Because everyone, what they perceive as disturbing, as fucked up is different. But if you've seen the one that trended on Reddit that a lot of people reference and a lot of people base their own iceberg off of, this movie only lands on like tier 3 or 4 out of like 8.
Fucks me
Which
up.
some icebergs only go down to like a 6 level, but I have seen some go down as far as 8. So it's like, okay, that means you're only hitting like 50% of what's going on with this fucking movie. And I can't believe that. I don't know what the fuck y'all be watching, but I hope the FBI don't come to your house.
Truly. It's also because a Serbian film hits every single awful thing that you could think could happen to a person. It doesn't.
Yeah.
If you haven't gathered it, we definitely don't recommend you watch this movie at all.
Yeah.
Anything that we're going to talk about, it's like, if you have an interest in watching this, go for it. Do it before you listen or watch an episode of this podcast.
I mean, we did it, like.
But for this one specifically, I mean it when I say you don't.
Mostly, too, for like the last 10-ish minutes. And I don't mean to say that the other stuff...
Like, we ain't saying that it's not bad.
Right.
It's bad, but...
and we'll get a little bit more into that in the episode. But remember, if you want to watch the movie and then know what we're talking about, stop, come back, reconvene, and...
You really don't need to for this one.
Yeah, but you don't. Like, again, we're not recommending. We're just saying.
Honestly, I'm more inclined to say, please don't watch this movie.
Yeah.
You really don't need to. But, okay, let's get into all of the hullabaloo that we're clearly not happy about.
Yeah. So, Liz, what's the synopsis of this movie? What's going on here?
So, as per my notes, I hate this movie. So much. So much. A washed up porn star is strapped for cash and having a bit of a midlife crisis until he gets an offer that he apparently can't refuse. This man signs away everything to run this sexual gamut of mental, emotional, and physical limits. When you think it can't get worse, it most certainly can. A Serbian film throws everything at you that it can. Everyone is exploited, but women and children face the brunt of violence every single time. Yeah. So what happens in this movie is, first of all, upon play, you're right into it. Like, from the get-go, you're in it. In the most, like, traumatizing way for a child.
The start of it, though, makes me laugh so much because I'm just like, you cannot be serious right now. I'm like, so the film opens up with this man. You meet the main character, Milos, and he's watching one of his old porn tapes.
His son
He's not even watching it.
His son
is watching it. It's also like he's supposed to be some great porn star. Like, that's very important for the plot. And I'm watching this porn. I'm like, okay, I don't get why people like this, but all right. If this was great. And then it pans and it's his son. I'm going to say he's probably no older than 6, if I had to guess. And the parents come in, Milos and his wife, girlfriend, partner, or whatever, and they're just hee-hee-ha-haing it up. I mean,
they're just like, oh man, not again.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, he got into the porn again. It's like, what does that, why?
Yeah, and so it kind of jumps into degeneracy pretty quickly because we find out that the wife is kind of having issues paying for the son's, I don't know, what were they, singing lessons or something?
Yeah, there was some kind of singing lessons, I believe.
And so she needs money. He's like, kind of rough, but like, I can see how I can make it happen. He goes and meets with his brother to do like some background on the people who reached out to him to do some more work. His brother is a cop detective, something like that. Private investigator.
And right off the bat, like, you know, this man is just weird. Like, he's not normal. Like, you kind of get that vibe right off the bat, and then it doesn't get better throughout the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah. And so he goes up to his brother. I forget what his brother's name is.
I can't remember either.
I'm so bad with character names.
I'll call him Peter.
He might be. So he meets with his brother, is like, can you do some background on this person? I just want to make sure that, you know, if there's anything nefarious, they're offering me apparently a really sweet deal. Like, I just want to see what's up. He talks to his brother. We meet this other female porn actress. She's interesting. She's constantly hitting on Milos for some reason. She's down bad. I don't understand why, but he goes on to meet with this person propositioning him to come back out of retirement to make a very artsy film.
Basically these people want to make art. They go to like this location, and it's at an orphanage.
Yes, it is. And from the get-go, yeah.
Like, that's the setup. And in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, if it's empty, whatever. It's just weird. It's a weird location setting, but hey, sometimes you just got to use old abandoned buildings, I guess. It's not empty. There's people in it. And not just the camera crew. And
the biggest red flag from the jump was that this guy was telling Milos not to read the contract. He didn't need to read it.
Yeah, he was like, yeah.
Just sign your life away. Like, it'll be fine. Throughout this entire thing, he really stresses to Milos that he will not know what he's shooting until he's, like, in it. He's really blurring the lines between reality and what he has planned for
Milos. Like, what? This is when you leave. Like, there's a few things I got from this movie, okay? And it's probably not what the director intended, which we will also talk about why the director made this movie. First of all, the good old days probably ain't that good. Ain't worth it. Secondly, read the damn contract. And also, learn to read red flags. If there's a red flag, just don't fucking do it. But this whole movie, to a certain point, is all about just being like, well, that's a little weird, but okay.
Yeah, what am I supposed to be getting from this psychologically outside of slowly breaking down someone's moral compass and just pushing them to more and more extremes in just Yeah,
there's a lot. And we can make a brief list of everything you're gonna see in this movie. And not even sometimes see, but there's some things that, thank God, you're not shown, but it's heavily alluded to.
This dude got real bad, like, a P word vibes. Like, very, very bad. And he is constantly egging Milos to
perform.
Yeah.
In front of children. He's always been in these situations where he's being asked to perform in front of children, and then not only in front of a child, but with a woman who doesn't seem that willing, but also kind of does. It's a very weird dynamic. Like, you can kind of tell that the woman's not
well, and there. He's got this, like, worm in his ear, too, of being like, this woman is, like, a slut. She's a whore. Hit her. And it's constant. The ante is always upped.
Yeah.
It always gets more violent, more depraved sexually. And we're still, like, not even halfway through the movie at that point. Like, we're in the first quarter at that point.
Still the first act, baby. Like, and he's just constantly, again, being, like, peer pressured to do stuff and testing moral boundaries. You get to kind of see the character's inner turmoil. You get to see Milos and how he eventually is kind of like, y'all, I'm really not into this.
One thing that I was really surprised with, which, I mean, I guess whenever you marry people, like, his wife, in total support of this, she was like, you know what? It's your last run. Go for it. You clearly the chapter of this in your life isn't totally closed. You can go do this, then it can be over, yada, yada, yada. The other thing that we see is as Milos's mental capacities are kind of tested, he starts drinking a lot more to cope with what he's essentially being forced to do.
Yeah.
Eventually he gets fed up and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's taking a toll on me. It's taking not really a toll on his family yet, but if it bleeds onto you, it's going to bleed onto your family. Yeah. And so he goes up to Mr. Bossman and is like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore.
Yeah. I want out, bitch, because this is real bad.
And then this is when we get into the boardroom scene, which is a flagship if you don't want to see anything worse happen, turn away at the boardroom scene.
Yeah, so this was one of the scenes that I had heard about prior to watching it. And basically he goes in there and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And the director guy is like, too fucking bad, basically. Like, we're making art here. He's like, this is art and you have to get with the art and we're pushing boundaries. There's a boundary that is crossed. So he shows him a video that they took and it's a woman giving birth. And it shows you the birth. And I'm like, look, man, I went through middle school sex ed. I didn't need to see that again. But okay, I guess I got reminded that that is not something I want to do. And then the doctor who delivered the baby, it is basically heavily implied, this is the part you don't see, that he performs acts with the newborn child.
Yeah, heavily coded. This guy is using the real words, but newborn corn. He just keeps repeating it over and over again, and Milos is like, what the fuck is up, bro?
This guy is so excited over his newborn grape.
Mm-hmm. But unfortunately for Milos, the drink that this guy gave him was drugged because clearly women are conditioned to know not to accept drinks from strange people. Men are not. And it really fucking burned him because he blacks out. And now he is being held captive by this weird ass pedophilic crazy person.
Yeah. And the way I refer to it, basically for the rest of the movie, from this point on, this man is drugged in some way. And I was calling it, I was like, he's getting horse trained. Because they're like shooting him up with stuff.
That's literally meant for horses.
Yeah, it's like, this shit's meant for horses. Like, I was like, he's getting horse trained for the rest of the movie. And they're just putting him in scenes that are like, hey, do the scene. And because he's drugged up, he does the scene of whatever fucked up shit.
Yes, and I can't remember what specifically they give him, but it is a drug that, from what I remember watching the movie, that they would give horses before they start mating.
Yeah.
And it makes him extremely
horny.
Horny, and also not submissive, but very easily influenced, where if you tell him to do something,
he doesn't have the wherewithal to say no.
He's gonna fucking do it. He cannot essentially think for himself. He is very much reduced to a physical body.
He's
like
a fuck machine.
Yeah.
So that's the only way to put it, man. This man's a fuck machine.
For very much better. No, not even for better or
There's
for worse.
no better.
It's just worse.
It's just for worse.
Because I think after that is when he's forced to go into the room, into that filthy ass room with the woman from earlier, right?
Yeah.
And
oh my God, yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they put him in the room with the one of the other ladies from the earlier scene. I think that was the one that he was being told to smack.
Yes.
Yeah.
It goes a little further than smacking.
It goes a little further than smacking, and she's strapped down, right? Like she's handcuffed to the bed or something up to that effect.
She's also intoxicated on something, but not intoxicated enough to not feel pain.
Yeah. So they're like, hey man, do your thing.
And then some.
And I don't know. And then some, I don't really remember how exactly it escalated in the way. I don't know if they were telling him.
They were.
Okay. They were telling him. And they gave him, what was it, a hatchet thing?
I think so.
Big ass
She ends up getting beheaded.
Yeah.
Somehow. All while.
Yeah.
The performance, we'll say, is still going. Still going, very strong, very violent. Obviously. He passes out in that bed.
Yeah, he passes out. Yeah, he wakes up. His wife and kids not there. So he's freaking out. And he's having to put the pieces together of what the fuck happened. So he tries to retrace his steps, basically. And long story short, ends up finding a video camera with like some tapes. And he plays them back, and it was the debauchery that they put him through on tape after tape after tape. And that's how he basically ends up piecing together, and it's almost like a trail. Like he has to kind of find them.
As he's watching the tapes, he's going back to the locations that the incidents happened
Yes. It's literally like a...
Retracing your steps,
but a treasure hunt. It's like a little treasure hunt.
That's a fucked up treasure hunt.
In the most fucked up fashion. Yes. So does that. But he goes back to the orphanage, but this time he's in like this basement that he hadn't been in before. They end up drugging him again.
Yeah.
They get into like a little tussle because he's like,
yes. So it's either he drives there or he gets kidnapped. He gets thrown into a car and then he's back at the orphanage.
Yes.
Because they're having him in that same room where the woman was beheaded, and the nurse is trying to give him more drugs, but then he is able to turn on her and inject her with the drugs.
Yes, that's what it is.
And then he still got some kind of dose for it, but homegirl, she is left in there for now. She is not doing well.
Nope.
But yeah, and so he is just trying to find the boss man where all of the other people are to exact revenge or figure out what the fuck is going on.
While on this horse trank again, and I apologize, y'all. Usually I remember plots better than this, but this is movie. I was like, yeah, I'm good forgetting that for like the rest of my life. He enters this room where the film crew is like there again with the director, and all you see is a mattress in the middle of the room, and two figures are covered with a sheet. And of course, because he's on the horse trank again, they're like,
go fuck that.
Yeah, go fuck that.
A second figure approaches him with a pillow over his head, and a joint fucking session starts then.
Milos starts first, right? Because Milos on the one. And a second figure, comes in.
He had like a pillowcase over his head. Did he? He had some kind of mask on.
He had some kind of mask on.
Because he takes it off at some point.
Yes. And they're going at it together. And again, this man is drugged, so he's just like...
Yeah,
okay.
It's a very weird... It's shot in so weird of a way where it's like teamwork?
Yes.
Okay,
like
weird...
Like there was a moment where I was like, bro, are they gonna high five? Like, what's happening? So he ends up taking his mask off of whatever he's using, and it's his brother. I told you the vibes were weird, and weird they were. Keep in mind, we also skipped some other weird shit that the brother was doing throughout this movie because you know what?
There's so much.
It's just it's just a lot. Then, okay, the brother takes his thing off. Then I believe it's the director, peels the sheet back from the two figures. For extra context here, the brother had a thing for Milos's wife.
So hot for the wife.
So hot.
So much so that in one of the earlier scenes where they were in the kitchen, I don't know, maybe Milos was off working.
I think he was at the shoot that day.
And the brother is so down bad for the wife that he literally has to go into the bathroom after engaging with her and literally has to just get it out of his fucking system. You think, yeah, it's just so fucking gross.
So for context, he was hot for Milos's wife the entire time. So the wife and Milos's son are laying there, knocked out on drugs. Thank God they weren't conscious, I guess. the brother's going to town on the wife.
And
Milos
you
is-
can,
you can piece it together from there.
Despite horse trank, he does immediately recoil and just like, what the fuck, man? Thank God, even in the tranked out brain, he was like, whoa.
He was like, whoa, now that's enough to sober me up, which, yeah. So anyway, he ends up going apeshit and killing everybody.
I think the wife ends up getting the final
wife
blow.
Kills the brother. That's right, because she ends up coming to and is like, I'm gonna finish this bitch off. Family goes home. They're all traumatized as shit.
Well, yes. The family goes home. Milos, for some reason, takes them down to his home's basement.
Yeah.
And then he goes up, because at this point, like, the son is comatose. Like, they don't we don't really even know if he is alive still, because they gave him a lot of whatever the fuck they gave.
They didn't dose him right, for sure.
And so then Milos goes upstairs and passes out. What we find out is that while he's been going on this little goose chase, figuring out his last few steps, his family was in the house the entire time.
Yes.
That he was piecing back together, like the past, 12 hours or 24 hours of his life.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of a little plot twist, quote unquote, that his family was just, the wife and kid were just down there in the basement being traumatized as fuck for like however long. Eventually finds out they're down there, they reunite.
They have a very, very deserved cry sesh all together.
The wife and Milos kind of exchange this like knowing look, of like, there's one option. And the one option is that Milos just, I don't even want to use the words becomes a family annihilator, because it's so like, y'all, I'd do it too.
He does everyone the one
kill.
solid in the movie, and does a mercy kill for everyone, because after you experience something like that, like truly, that is the kindest thing that you can do for everybody. And are we going through the entire end of the movie?
Basically, I mean, well, it ends there of they kill themselves, and then
another fucking like big wig director person comes in, and he's just like, he brings in other people and was just like, all right, somebody needs to fuck the dead bodies. Like, it has the meaning of somebody out there is going to pay to see human suffering. This is not a unique instance of what happened to Milos and his family. It's just another like drop in the bucket at that point. And then the movie.
So that's the second plot twist, is that while Milos and his family were, killing themselves, there was someone taping it the entire time. And that director is like, okay, you know what needs to be done, and then it just shoots to one of them unbuckling their belts, and there you go. Movie ends with a really awesome metal song. I hate it. I hate how good that song was. I was like, wait, why is this metal song so good? Fuck it.
See, I was so over it at that point. I don't even remember it. I was just like, why the fuck did I watch this?
I mean, I definitely can't tell you what the fucking song was, but I was like...
Movies made in the 2010s. Like, if there's one thing about them, they gonna have a, like, fabulous soundtrack. Even if the movie is whack as all get out, the ending credits song, it's always gonna hit.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, that's a Serbian film. I definitely didn't need to experience that. It got everything it promised to deliver, but in a very like desensitized, just throw it all at you, being torturous for just torture's sake.
Yeah. So obviously, when you see a movie like this, you're like, why? Why was this made? And I feel like that's probably going to be a recurring theme on this podcast, is just asking, why was it made? A Serbian film. 2010 film. And the director, and I just want to say, we're probably going to butcher these names because they are Serbian. They're Serbian. Yeah. But I'm going to give a go. I just say Srdjan Spasojevic. It's how I pronounce his name. I thought it was funny because the guy who played Milos, his first name is also Srdjan. He went to the Bracakarik University's Academy of the Arts. He comes from a rich family. There's a little bit of stuff on the internet about that. I didn't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but I did want to give some context that he is a rich kid.
Why am I not fucking surprised?
Yeah.
It transcends geographical boundaries, the audacity.
Yeah, it does. When you have the money to have the audacity, there you go. He's a big fan of Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill. He's also a big fan of Alfred Hitchcock's Spellbound. And he's a big fan of David Lynch movies, which, hey, me too. Please stay the fuck away from him. Please do not. He does not have a very expansive filmography. Basically, a Serbian film is kind of like what he was known for. There's another movie he's made called Wear Out that I could get no information on whatsoever, but it is on his filmography. And I thought this was a fun fact. He has a segment in the ABCs of Death, and he does the letter R. Why did he make the movie? So he co-wrote this movie with a friend that he had in school. They actually did a lot of stuff together. And it was made after they graduated from the university. And they basically, from then on, collaborated on filmmaking primarily throughout the rest of his career. However, like a lot of rich people, had problems with Serbia's film industry and did not like the censorship that was happening and how you have to, basically what you have to do in a lot of European countries and things like that is that a lot of the film is reliant on the EU's grants, specifically the Art Council's grants. So obviously they get to kind of have a say-so on what does or does not get off the ground, hence censorship. There's a lot of other political things going on in like Serbia's like political climate that obviously I wasn't going to get into here, but pretty fascinating. Goes without saying, he had some trouble getting some projects off the ground.
I wonder fucking why.
And a lot of this movie was made in response to that going on. In summary, a Serbian film was made in response to censorship enforced by the EU's guidelines of funding, especially in the early 2000s, and political correctness. And oh boy, while the message is loud and clear, it is really hard to rise above the content in this movie.
Honestly, yeah, because this truly feels like some bro just wanted to make a really, really, really fucked up movie, and they were like, it's about censorship.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want from me? It's about censorship.
Which you could literally just make a fucking movie about a guy trying to like make a film and like do like a drama of him trying to get his movie off the ground. Like, you didn't have to do it this way, my dude.
This is like the most true to form like torture porn movie ever. Like, truly, it's literally just torture and porn combined. And
in the mainstream, okay? I know some of you freaks out there are gonna be like, that's not even bad. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. The last 10 minutes of that movie got me.
Hello, FBI.
Yeah.
If that's not extreme enough for you, I have some bad news for you, bucko. You can make a film about censorship and about like metaphorically and in reality getting fucked by a government agency or whatever. You don't need to do it this way, because at this point, most of this film is so hard to sit through that in my notes, I'm like, this reminds me of how it felt in a smaller sense reading Lolita for the first time, because the author is literally like, as long as you, the reader, are reading this book, Lolita is going to continue to being like assaulted and further traumatized. Because you continue reading, it's going to continue happening. If you stopped reading the book, it would stop in your imagination.
It's almost like if a tree falls in a forest but no one hears or sees it, is it still happening? Bitch, yes. The tree fell. The woman got assaulted. What else is there to say? Milo, what do you have to say on the subject?
Would you recommend watching a Serbian film?
He says, fuck no, listen to my butt.
We need this break. Thank you. You're so wise.
Thank you for your comments. Dismissed. Don't try to dress it up and make it look cute and nice and say that it's about censorship and political correctness.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not about raging against the machine.
It's okay to admit that you just wanted to... It's okay to admit that you just wanted to make a really fucked up movie. That you wanted to depict the most depraved things that you could possibly think of. I think I would probably respect that more.
Yeah, like, if you were honest, I mean, I'd be like, all right, the man just, like, there's so many people out there who make fucked up shit for the sake of making the fucked up shit. Okay. I don't need it gift wrapped in a fucking package just for you to be like, yeah, I mean, it's because I have commentary here. Because at the end of the day, does the commentary matter? And I mean, I know, like, look, man, I'm on the Letterboxd reviews, okay? And some people rant and rave for this movie and think it is so great, which never talk to me.
Are most of them men?
Yeah, of course. Why was that a question?
I gotta cover my bases.
Not saying that there's probably no woman out there that, like, just heavily enjoys this movie, but it ain't me, and I didn't see a lot of them out there.
None of the men got decapitated in this movie,
Just
I will
saying.
say.
I don't need it gift wrapped, and I don't need it to look pretty.
I do know that there was a male sexual assault in this scene. Nobody gets discriminated against in this film, but the brunt of it still always falls on women and obviously children.
Right.
And it just... Maybe it's because...
Was there no elder abuse in this movie?
Goddamn.
We missed the elder abuse. Man, this fucking 0 out of 5 stars. Man, you think you're so damn bad? Where's my elder abuse then? We had a donkey get assaulted in this movie. No, we didn't cover that. No, I don't need to. A donkey.
Like, it really felt like a fucking check box of fucked up things that can happen.
Right.
The plot could have been interesting. It really fucking could have. But it wasn't. The characters, boring. Like, not redeemable outside of, like, the mother and child. Because they literally had no skin in the game. He should have read the fucking contract, because then he would have seen that, oh, if I say no to this, they have full right to pull my family into this. That's not fucking cool, Like,
you're engaged in the movie, but you're only engaged because of, like, once the awful shit starts happening, and it's like the train wreck, right? You can't look away. But, I mean, the character writing, bad. Which, I mean, hey, maybe you don't need good character writing in a movie like this. But, I mean, the only reason you're engaged is because of all the bad shit that happens. And I feel like if you're only creating movies and they're only engaging because of the really awful shit that happens to their characters, then you can't make good movies. Sorry, Srdjan. That's my opinion.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's my opinion. Well, I can't understand Serbian, so don't even try to talk to me about it.
As far as just a audience reception of the film, the violence and the brutality, even though it's awful to watch, it is just that.
Yeah.
Like, you get desensitized to things. Like, you mentally are aware of what you're watching is awful. Like, truly, truly awful. Some of the worst things that could happen to anyone in this life. But that's all that it is. You're not connected to any of the characters outside of, hey, fellow human being, how are you? The film lacks emotional impact because of that. Even though I can watch something less horrible very objectively happen to somebody else in a film, it's gonna hurt a lot more because I like the character or what's happening in the plot. Like, it's good storytelling. This is not good storytelling as far as I'm concerned.
Sorry. And, like, granted, yeah, I knew going into a Serbian film that I wasn't about to watch, like, the greatest thing ever. But it's like, okay, well, if you want me to go through this journey with a character, then at least make me care about it. Like, give me the motivation to be in it with that character. So, that basically summarizes it. I mean, we can talk about how, like, depraved and
gross
shit, but, like, those are basically my thoughts. That pretty much sums it up, is that it, like, man, if you're gonna do it, like, please just write well.
There's something to be said about, him being stripped of his own personal autonomy. And truly at this point, we're not even we're ragging on the director, but in the film itself, like, I'm not even ragging on Milos at all, because at this point he was also an unwilling victim. Like, how I would kind of sum up this movie is, whatever you think that you're going to experience watching this movie, whatever you think happens, how it's executed, your vision of that in your head is so much better than the experience of watching this movie. In our introduction episode, I did mention, because we talked briefly about a Serbian film before we watched it. I got a Serbian Film and The Holy Mountain confused with each other, and I didn't realize that until afterwards, because I had these two movies confused. So I just wanted to specify that in case anybody was like, nope, there's no religious iconography in a Serbian film. Bottom line on a Serbian film:
0 out of 5 stars. Don't watch it. Don't waste your time. And not even like, don't just, you don't need to see it. I promise. Like, there's other movies that basically cover like kind of the same shit, better ways.
If you want to watch something fucked up that has similar themes, I would much rather say go watch the original I Spit on Your Grave. It's far more enjoyable than this. You have your sexual content, you have your violence, but at least somebody gets their comeuppance at the end of the film, you know?
Yeah, that's actually really good. So just go watch I Spit on Your Grave instead. The original or the remake. I'd take it at this point. But thank you for joining us on our talk today of a Serbian film. Let us know what you thought. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
It's a safer option to say that you didn't like it.
Just say no.
You don't need to dick ride for this movie, I promise you. But yeah, so this has been the Controversial Cinema Podcast. We will see you in the next episode.
Bye, guys.
You'll find superstition a contagious thing. Some people let it get the better of them. I don't think you will.
No.